I am currently working so hard to save money, particularly in my kitchen. All right, my living room, typically not costing anything. My bedroom, no expenses there. But man, that kitchen, that food, it is getting so costly. And we recently moved to a larger home. We have a higher mortgage. So the money costs are weighing on me, and I feel like the area that I can control and that you can control is your kitchen. All right, so how am I saving money in my kitchen? One of them, of course, is how I shop. So it all starts at the grocery store. I really am perimeter shopping. I'm hitting the meats. I'm hitting the dairy. I'm hitting obviously fruits and vegetables, of course, but I'm really hitting that perimeter of the grocery store. I'm not going down every aisle, and the aisle that I am going down the most is baking. I'm needing that flour, that sugar to make things from scratch. And then, there's the occasional canned goods and peanut butter and things in the aisle. I do still buy store-bought bread. Need to work on that. But perimeter shopping sales, and learning the prices. I know what the price of my flour is that I buy. When my flour is on sale, I will buy up to 5 10-pound bags. This past month, I bought 50 pounds of flour. I put it in the fridge or in the freezer to store. It's good to go. But I bought it at a reduced price. Same thing with meat. I definitely buy reduced. I will freeze it. And also with freezing, I would say at the grocery store, I try to actually avoid the freezer aisles. Now, my freezers have things in them, but they're things that I have put in them, not bought frozen. I feel like things that are pre-frozen can be expensive. Okay, say just like chicken nuggets and French fries. I buy potatoes and make French fries typically. I try to avoid the freezer section. I do feel like it can be convenience food and convenience item, like frozen pizza. I make pizza from scratch now. So that's just an example there of how I save money at the grocery store. Some things that I do in my freezers. So in my freezers, I have a compost bin. So when I come home and I cut up strawberries, you might judge this, but I cut the strawberry, put that in a container for strawberries. And then if there's a little bit that I missed or extra, I'll cut that, throw that in a smoothie bag, like scraps, or just maybe the strawberry doesn't look the best, but it's still edible, smoothie bag. And then I'll have the compost bin where I'll put the tops. So any scraps from my produce go in the compost bin. It saves me on trash bags. We don't go through as many trash bags because I'm not throwing it in the trash. And then I take it out and I bury it out behind our house in a corner of our yard. And I'm working on making basically really rich dirt, and I'm going to use it in my garden. So call me crazy, but I'm composting in my own way. Then, like I said, the smoothie bag. So any parts of fruits that aren't either getting eaten, bananas are close to going bad, I will turn those into a bag where I keep smoothie stuff. Or if fruit is on sale, I've gotten strawberries for $1 for a quart or whatever you call that container, and I will chop them up and put them in the smoothie bag. So one of my kids likes smoothies. I try to do it on a budget. And I do compare. Is the frozen fruit cheaper than buying fresh and freezing? It depends. Okay, you gotta watch your prices. Don't just assume something's more affordable. Another thing that I currently have in my freezer is some chicken broth. So I've been looking lately at chicken. I used to always buy chicken breasts, a package of them, and I would cut it in half, and whatever piece was prettier, I would actually freeze that as a chicken breast. And the other piece, where it was more scrappy, what I would do through the whole case was I would have chicken breasts that would get frozen, and then I would have the scrappy pieces. Those would go in a crock pot. I would cook them up, shred them, and then I would have shredded chicken and a little bit of juice that I would save as chicken broth. But recently I've looked at, instead of buying the whole package of chicken breasts, buying whole chickens. The price per pound is much better. I'm actually going to do a deeper dive into this. I want to buy both and cook them up and see how much meat I end up with and what my final conclusion is on buying a whole chicken or just buying the chicken breast. I want to do a little more deep dive into that. Stay tuned for that video coming up soon, hopefully. But I will take the chicken broth and I will freeze it, okay? I have not done any canning yet, but I use my freezers. So the chicken broth, I put it into this mold, pop them out, and I'll put them in a Ziploc, or in I use containers, just old yogurt containers, this and that, and I'll store chicken broth. I sometimes in my freezer will store certain things like mozzarella cheese for pizza. I chop it up when it's fresh and I freeze it. That way that it doesn't go bad, because probably one of the things that goes bad the most in my house would be dairy products, okay? Eventually they start growing mold. So if I can freeze them, I will freeze them. My freezers also have things like cookie dough balls. I'll make up cookie dough from scratch. I'll roll them into balls and freeze them. And then if we have company over and I need to throw 10 cookies in the oven, I can do that in a flash. Same thing with dinners. I will make crescent rolls and garlic knots from scratch. I will bake them partially, and then I will freeze them. So for dinner, I can pull out 4 crescent rolls. I don't have to pop open one of those cans. I don't have to make a whole batch from scratch every night, because that's ridiculous. But I can pull out 4, let them thaw for a bit, and throw them in the oven. So I try to batch cook and utilize my freezers in the best way possible. Another huge way I'm saving money is just simply by reducing waste. I really am keeping track of what's going in my trash can more and more. And obviously, like, I'm composting, but also I'm really being careful about food waste. I would say the number one thing that gets wasted would be dairy, and that would be heavy whipping cream. I'm sorry, I love using it to make sauces, but the moment it is open, it almost instantly stinks to me. Am I being sensitive, or is it going bad that quickly? What's your thoughts? The other day, part of a block of cheese went bad on me. I was really upset on that one that I didn't pay enough attention to that. I should have shredded it and used it. And then aside from that, a little bit of produce will go bad, but I really, really try not to let that happen. Now, like, cucumbers recently have gone bad for me, but I was trying to get my daughter to eat them, and I think it's a losing battle there. Overall, though, I really feel like we're not wasting. My husband is great about taking leftovers to work the next day. That's what he does. He packs his lunch. That's another way we save money. We pack all of our lunches. We never buy. And that reduces, spending on restaurants anyway, which again kind of comes out of the kitchen. And overall, I'm just trying to save money by stretching things. So one thing I do in my kitchen, my husband suggested this a long time ago, and I've been doing it for a long time now. If you buy chives, so I'll use them for a topping on, say, like loaded baked potato. Okay, so I'll chop. Once they're shorter, I'll trim the roots, and I have a bowl in my kitchen with dirt, like a potted plant bowl, and I will plant the chives, and they will grow back multiple times before they actually die, and they get really weak, and then I trash them and start again. But I know chives only cost like 89 cents or so, but I'm still stretching. I am stretching the budget. And also, it's really yummy to have fresh chives handy. I love a little herb garden. Another thing with cilantro is it goes bad almost instantly. I've tried putting it in water. I've tried storing it in the fridge. I've tried storing it at room temperature. My trick is to rip the leaves off and put them in a baggie in the fridge, and they'll last 2 or 3 weeks, which is absolutely crazy to me. Then getting back into my pantry, things like dry goods. I don't buy pancake mix. I just buy flour and sugar, and I just make it from scratch. You can buy a lot fewer items if you just buy the core basic baking goods than buying a waffle mix, pancake mix, and blueberry muffin mix, and a crescent roll, like the little pop thingies for crescent rolls, or garlic knots that are frozen. I just make them from scratch from those basic ingredients. A lot of those items, it is like milk, water, eggs, butter, flour, sugar, sometimes baking powder, baking soda. It's so basic. It's really not hard. Just get a simple recipe, and the more you try it, the more you will get the hang of it and get comfortable with it. I am very proud of how far I've come in my cooking journey and continue to do so. And I definitely encourage you to don't be afraid to start cooking from scratch. It's amazing. All right, it really is, once you start getting the hang of it, what you are capable of and what you can do and how much money you can save. So those are some quick ways that I'm saving money in the kitchen. Go ahead and leave some comments on ways that you are currently saving in the kitchen.